And we're back. So today we're just going to do a real quick uh, video on S3 buckets and replicating your S3 buckets, cross-region replication. So to do that, well, let's first set things up. So we're going to create a new bucket. So let's do that. And remember, when you're creating buckets, bucket names have to be unique. So for example, if you select a bucket name called test in this region, Canada Central. We're selecting. Is there? I'm sorry, I just think that's very funny. That's apparently a unique name that I can select. So just to demonstrate, if I select a bucket that isn't unique, that I know exists, such as one of my own buckets, so shipwreck 7, yeah, that bucket's owned by me. And we can't create that. So we need to enter a unique name. So we will select shipwreck 7 and 123. So that's a unique name. We want to keep our region Canada Central. We're not going to select enabling or copy settings. Let's go next to set properties. We're going to keep everything for default for now. And we'll go next. And permissions. Now I do want to make this bucket public. So we select grant public read access to this bucket. It gives us this warning. And then we'll select next. And there we can select some other permissions. Or we can review our permissions. Versioning is disabled. Server access logging is disabled. Users public permissions we are enabled. And so we're going to create our bucket. So our bucket's now created. Now let's upload some files to it. So we select our bucket and we can go upload, and then you can go add files and start selecting some files here. So let's go into our work docs. We go to, oh, here's our files. So we'll select these first 5 and select upload. And you can see the files uploading, and they're now in our bucket and available. Now, remember, we made our bucket public, so are these objects public also? So let's click on it. If we click on each object, we can then see the properties for that object. We can see the owner, when it was last modified, and then you can select the link. So if we select this link, no, it's not. So just to demonstrate that when you make a bucket public, objects in the bucket do not inherit those permissions. So going back, if we want to make this object public, and you would have to do this for all your objects, you could just select make public, and then it indicates success, and then you can click on the link, and there we go. It's now public. So let's start. What do we need to do next? Let's create our destination bucket, because we're going to now do cross-region replication to provide some enhanced disaster recovery for our data. So going back to S3, we're going to select create a new bucket. We're going to enter a unique name. We'll call it ship rec 7 destination. Now let's select a region. Let's go into, let's put this bucket in Sydney. We're not going to copy any permissions from an existing bucket. We're not going to enable versioning for now. We want to demonstrate something. And we'll leave all the defaults. And we'll create our bucket. It'll just take a second. We'll see a warning. Error. Conflicting condition operation is currently in progress against this resource. Please try again. Okay. Okay, I fixed that problem. So I was doing some testing earlier and using the same bucket name. So I think when I was deleting it, I'm in the process of deleting that bucket currently. So I just changed the name of it and then it allowed me to create this new bucket. So now we want to enable cross-region replication. So we're going to go to our source bucket and I believe we're going to go to management and yeah, we're going to go replication. Select that and we're going to add a new rule. And as you can see, when we created this bucket, we didn't enable versioning, and that is a requirement for cross-region replication. So it throws us that warning right away and gives us the option to enable versioning. So we'll enable versioning, and then we can start. So source indicates all contents in the bucket, what we want to replicate. You can select prefix if you'd like. A prefix would just be like, say, a subfolder within our bucket if we just want to selectively replicate that data. We want to enable it, and we're not going to have any encryption. We're going to go next. We'll select our destination. So let's see. Here's our destination in the Asia Pacific region, and also it indicates this bucket doesn't have versioning enabled. So yeah, that's obviously required. So we can do that real quickly right here. And then we can also change the storage class for the replication object. So let's do that. Um, this is, if we're using this as a backup solution, which we are, and we want to save a little bit money, we don't really need the best available disk. So we're going to select reduce redundancy. And what's that other option? Change object ownership to destination bucket owner. We'll just leave that, and then we'll go next. And then yeah, we need an IAM role. We'll select create new and we'll go next. And then here are the permissions. Let's review. So we've got our bucket name, we've got our region of our current bucket, and then we've got our destination bucket in the region, the storage class, and it's going to create a new role. So we go save. And here are the options we can see for our bucket that we just created. We've got scope, all contents of the bucket, the source region, destination, the bucket name, and the region, and the permissions. Here's the new role that it was created. All right, so that should be it. And here is the rule, entire bucket, status enabled, storage class, replicated object owner, same as source bucket, and no encryption is going to be replicated. So now we've enabled the replication, that's active, and you would think we should see the data that we have in here. Remember, we uploaded these files. Let's see if the data has been replicated over. So if we go in here and we go overview and it says this bucket is empty. So nothing's been replicated yet. And why is that? And the reason is because any object existing in your source bucket will not be replicated over after replication is configured. Only newly created objects will be replicated over. So let's just demonstrate that. So if we go back to our source bucket, sorry, it's public. And now let's upload another file. And let's upload the fat cat. And select upload. And the upload's complete. So let's go over to our other bucket, our destination, and see if it's been replicated over. It might just take a second. And there it is, it's been replicated over. All right, now let's test something out I'm kind of curious about. We're going to go back to our original, our source. And again, you remember that objects don't inherit permissions of the parent bucket. So this file isn't going to be public right now. So if we click on this, that's not going to work. So let's make it public. All right, and then what will we do? We select this link, and there's our cat. Doesn't look very happy. So now let's go over to our destination bucket. And let's see our chubby little friend. And as you can see, the permissions haven't been replicated over. All right, so we've demonstrated that the permissions aren't copied. Now, So where are we now? We have two buckets. We have our source that has our files on it. Now, those files were not copied over um, after we enabled replication because they already existed in the bucket. Only objects that were created after replication will be moved. So let's get everything in sync here. So we're going to do that with the Amazon command line tools. Um, Not going to go in great detail here. To download the tools, just Google AWS command line. There's some things you need to do to set up and configure it after you download it. We won't get into detail on that, but we will go into copying our contents from one bucket to the other. So if we're just going to clear my screen right now, and we will now enter our command, and this is going to replicate all the contents from our source bucket to our destination bucket. I've installed the command line, so we've got AWS S3 CP recursive to copy all bucket contents and subcontents. Here's the name of our source bucket and our destination bucket. So let's just hit enter and give that a moment. And so the command's completed and it's copied all the files. So if we go back to S3 and we go to our destination bucket, this should update and we should see all of our files. Yep, so that's it. So takeaway from this, what have we learned? That when enabling replication, existing data of objects on your source bucket won't be replicated. So you'll need to manually copy those over with the command line, and that object permissions are not copied over. That's it. Thanks for watching.